We got so much shit to talk about in regards to this situation. The Colin Kaepernick workout that transpired Saturday. So much shit in this Colin Kaepernick versus the NFL debacle that's been ongoing for 3 years plus now. But before I get into my opinion on this shit, firstly, let me say I'm not right or wrong for what I think. It's just how I perceive shit, and based on the evidence I'm given, how I view this situation in its entirety. I may be missing some key points that y'all can help out. I may be missing an angle or a perspective that may assist my reasoning and change the way I see shit. But nonetheless, right now, this is how I see shit. I ain't right, I ain't wrong, it's just how I see the shit. You ain't right, you ain't wrong, it's just how you see the shit. We gotta sift through and find the truth within all this context that's been skewed in the rhetoric from both parties possibly. So, I'm saying that only to say, if you disagree with what I say, or if I disagree with what you say, that doesn't make me at odds with you. That doesn't mean I hate you. That doesn't mean you're a terrible person or I'm a terrible person. We just happen to disagree on a subject. As people of the public, which most of us are, if you're watching this, you're part of the public. You're not part of the private who help control legislation and control their own institutions and have these big institutions that we have to abide by. You're not them if you're watching this video. So you're on my team and I'm on your team, motherfucker. So it's best we have public discourse without name calling, without saying the other one is burnt out, stupid, ignorant, and I do it sometimes. So that's why I'm premising this video, to help myself and help others have better dialogues when it comes to polarizing topics as such. Now, with that being said, here's how I feel about the situation. For one, he kneed 3 years ago and ain't had a job since. We know this, right? We know that he filed a grievance against the NFL for conspiring to blackball him, and we know they settled. So they paid him for filing that grievance, which implies that the NFL feels that they may have had something to do with that situation in order to pay them. Because if they felt completely free, innocent of that situation, you would stand up and be like, no, I'm not settling. It makes no sense. We have the argument to prove we didn't collude to or conspire to discriminate against you. It ain't happening, Captain. But they settled. So that's another fact we have of this matter. The other fact that we have is Colin Kaepernick states, and we don't see any of the owners refute this statement, that they haven't been in contact for the last 3 years. They haven't expressed their interest in Kaepernick. So a week, 2 weeks prior to this workout, this impromptu workout made by the NFL, the owners show no interest in Cap. So they could have held private meetings for Cap to go to, but that's not happening. What instead we're getting are the owners trying to create a workout and get Kaepernick to sign a waiver agreement that may imply that he adheres to their idea that they're not colluding anymore, because he signed a grievance. He didn't file a lawsuit. He can still file a lawsuit for collusion in the near future. But with this waiver agreement, you have euphemisms, you have witty language that might fuck up your chances of doing that later. What's the language? This is what I got from it, because I read the waiver agreement. Again, we got to do our research as much as possible. We can't jump out there and just make claims and shit without having grounds. So the part in which I think is esoteric enough for a lawyer to be like, hey, Cap, I don't think you should sign this, is this right here. Player acknowledges that he has been made no promise of employment and understands his participation doesn't constitute employment by any of the released parties, the owners, but desires to work out voluntarily in order to be considered for future employment. Player further acknowledges that his participation in the workout does not guarantee the player will be offered employment by any of the released parties. So they keep reiterating the same shit. This workout does not mean we finna hire you, nigga. That's what I got from the context. And it doesn't sound crazy to profess that in the contract, but when you talk about litigation and law, and you talk about possibly suing somebody for discrimination, collusion, when you sign something that says, look, I know that this workout means y'all don't gotta hire me, that can be used against you in a future case if you say they were discriminating. They're like, okay, no, nigga, you signed this right here, that you understand that this workout, when you participate, that they do not have to hire you. You put right here, Cap. And then he'd be fucked in court. So that could be one of the reasons why they had this impromptu workout. That sounds more logical than thinking they're giving him a fair shot now. Okay, well, fuck it. This workout is going to dictate whether or not Cap stays or not. Is he really good enough? We're going to give him a fair meritocracy-based assessment. If it was meritocracy-based, he went to the Super Bowl. He's a Pro Bowler. He did more than half of the NFL quarterbacks today. So if we're talking about meritocracy, you can at least grant him the decency of a private workout with a team, which hasn't been granted. So my question is the NFL sincerity in this case. Are you niggas really interested in having Cap back in the league? Or is all this a ploy, a PR announcement to be like, look, we tried, he wasn't with it? It's questions you have to ask. I'm here for all reasoning. So my first point of attack is the waiver agreement. It has language that can make a lawyer reticent to be like, hey, look, I wouldn't sign this if I was you. In your situation with them, we're already in conflict. I wouldn't sign this. Cap, okay, fuck it. We're going to go over here. We're going to go over here and do the workout. My second point is conformity. A lot of us are quick to conform without question. Oh, shit, this is my job. I have to do this in order to survive in life, so I'm not finna ask questions. A soldier makes a good person who conforms because they don't ask questions. Most of us are soldiers, it seems like, by nature. But every now and then we have an anomaly that doesn't conform. Kaepernick, non-conforming. Huey Newton, non-conforming. Angela Davis, non-conforming. Muhammad Ali, non-conforming. Malcolm X, non-conforming. Martin Luther King, non-conforming to an extent. So you have to look at those people who are non-conforming and see the consequences that they suffered. When you are non-conforming to this social dogma, which implies racism and sexism, discrimination, when you don't conform to that, you are less privy to the privileges. Let's take Russell Wilson. To me, a decent quarterback, probably a good fella, I don't know, but he's somebody who conforms to the structure. Therefore, the NFL will have no problem promoting a Russell Wilson and his ideology. He has good press. He doesn't say anything polarizing, outlandish, and he probably is a whole different person when he's in his house speaking on how he feels. But that's somebody who conforms. It's more beneficial for a brother financially to conform to society. Financially. The reason why I say that is because not conforming, being your autonomous nature and your autonomous self is more liberating to me than anything on the planet. So this is why I side with Cap for not conforming, because he's expressing how he feels. He's not sugarcoating shit. He's not decoding language so he can have a good PR assessment. I think he's well aware that this will be scrutinizing. They will vilify him for his strong take, for saying, hey, I'm telling Roger Goodell and you 32 owners, stop running. So, in my opinion, being autonomous in nature supersedes the need for financial gain. If you want to be in the NFL, period, you know you're going to have to conform. But if you don't want to be in the NFL because you feel like you can't express who you are, then the NFL ain't for you. And I think that's what we're seeing with this whole Kaepernick debacle. And people are saying whether it's right or wrong, well, we all have our own moral compass and how we look at shit. I think conforming doesn't feel right naturally. In my bones, I don't conform for the most part. And that's deprived me of finances. So I know firsthand the benefits of non-conforming and the benefits of conforming. You're liberated when you can say and feel and talk how the fuck you want. So that's one of the key things. Cap is unapologetically pro-black. He doesn't conform to the NFL's way of being, way of doing things. And I use Russ or A-Rod or Tom Brady. Most of the NFL players there conform. That's why they're there. If they don't conform, they'll see their way out somehow. But you have that aspect of conformity, and I stress that it's key you understand both sides of the tale. We're in a system that was already here and already made, so conforming is almost a predisposition that we have to take coming out the gate. Like work, like having this YouTube channel, there's guidelines to shit. And sometimes we have to conform and comply. But when you get more astute historically, as an African person, as a melanated person, conforming strips you of who you are. Slowly. You know what I'm saying? So you have that aspect of it, and then you have the waiver, and then you have my third comment is the NFL chose to say no media, chose to say that he couldn't record it, chose to say they choose the personnel. Now, I know what you're going to say. They own it. They have a private arena, and they have the right to do that. I understand that. But we have to ask, does this make it ethical just because they're the boss and they can do what they want? Why can't Cap have people record the outing? Why can't the media be present? Why can only the NFL obtain what happened here? So you can skew the rhetoric and narrative? Which asks me, why was this whole workout set up? Was it made on good intentions? Because I'm the type of nigga, I thought personally Cap wouldn't even, like, get the fuck out of here with that workout. That's what I thought. I was wrong about that. But me personally, you giving a almost MVP, took my team to the Super Bowl, did some astronomical shit in the NFL, a public workout, saying that this dictates whether or not I'm qualified? You gotta be kidding me. I would have scoffed at the shit based on my resume and the concept of meritocracy. So you have that point of the NFL trying to dictate the narrative and dictate how we perceive the whole situation at hand, which you're going to see videos like this ain't going to get a lot of views, and people in adherence to more so of Cap's side, because I don't agree with everything he did in the situation, but I'm more on the side of how he sees things. Doesn't make me right, doesn't make me wrong, just makes me more aligned with how he sees shit. But, however, the next point I kind of got lost in the sauce right there. Nonetheless, the NFL dictated the bounds. It's a mutual agreement he has to sign, and he didn't want to sign. So, okay, they didn't come to an agreement. He chose to go to another facility. Right or wrong, that's up for you to decide. I understand why he did it based on the waiver, and these niggas is looking like tricksters, and they on some sneak shit. It don't look sincere. And another point I have, a lot of people are saying the reality of the situation is, as a black man, you can't come out here and talk like that. You can't wear that. You can't do that if you want to be in the league. We talked about non-conforming, and they have a point. They're not incorrect. They have a good point. I just talked about the benefits of conforming. However, they have to be careful as melanated beings telling their people to conform. You have to understand the origins of conforming to somebody else's ideas and notions. This is the concept of enslavement and indoctrination and rewriting the narrative of who you are as a people, making you act a certain way, saying the way you act is inappropriate. So even telling somebody to conform to another ethnicity's edifice is hindering is putting inhibitions on a whole culture. My people. I'm against conforming, but I do understand it. Work is a bitch, bills is a bitch. I understand it. So my whole point with that is reality, it is what it is, but it needs to be challenged. And people like Cap challenge reality. People who don't conform challenge the reality. Of course you're not going to like how he did it because you're conformed to believe there's a proper way of doing it. But if it's a proper way, it's a conformed way. When you don't conform, it's going to be looked at as an improper act. When he needed, it was looked at, scrutinized as improper because it wasn't conform to their idea of how to do your thing when the national anthem come on. So those are the main issues, the main things I wanted to talk about. Conforming and what it means to not conform and conform. Cap is non-conforming. I love it as a person who is expressing his Afrocentric nature and his autonomous nature before even a label. But also you have to be privy to these institutions that look down on that. Sadly, they look down on it. But that's both narratives in which I understand. I understand the business aspect when people bring that the NFL can't do that. I understand the legalities of it. But at the end of the day, are we going to resort to how it's set up and what the rules are and just abide by those rules? Or are we going to be a progressive public and dictate and shape the rules for the betterment of all of us and all of our people? Because I think if we all could express ourselves multiculturally, niggas wouldn't have nothing on America. Like, I ain't gonna say that. Other countries probably the shit. Other nations is the shit. But America would be more divine if you let people express their multicultural broadness, variety, whatever you want to say. But that's just my thoughts on the whole shit. The Kaepernick workout was crazy. I think it was a setup. I could be wrong. If you have evidence pertaining to something else, let me know. If you think it was a setup, let me know. If I missed any key information that would say differently or even support my claim, let me know. Just let me know something. It's your boy Dame. That's my thoughts on the whole situation. As a black person, I'm not finna down somebody. I'm not finna publicly down somebody talking about social injustice and putting light on social injustice. So when I see people down them as melanated beings, I have to ask you that's a fine line you drawing right there. Be careful. Make it understood that you understand both sides, but be careful when you say he's a fool or he's crazy or you get your Stephen A voice and you talk shit. Because now that perception is on a little kid looking at a cat like, he's crazy, Mom. Mom, he's a martyr. Because they heard Stephen A say it. But that's just my thoughts, my comments. I still stand in support with Cap, especially his ideology on these institutions. We gotta knock down capitalism somehow. And there you get my opinion at the end of the day. We gotta knock down the elitist agenda as the public. But it's your boy Dame. Let me know your thoughts, your comments. Colin Kaepernick, the NFL, part 110 it seemed like. Dang.